Canada sent 9 million worth of howitzer replacement barrels to Ukraine, while Canada also gains half an island. This is the Great White North Report.
I'm in love with the system, never going home. I'm in love.
Canada was going to send 9 million worth of howitzer replacement barrels to Ukraine. Earlier this year, we sent 4 of our M777 howitzers to Ukraine to help fight the Russian invasion. Worth noting, these are towed artillery pieces. They're not mobile, which is something we should correct with our military. We should have more of the mobile artillery instead of the towed. And it's also worth noting that these barrels, you have to replace them after firing 2,500 rounds, which means the Ukrainians have been pounding the Russians with these things. So they're being used, which is good. We're not sending these just as a saving face gesture. So our defense minister, Anita Anand, announced the donation during a meeting with NATO allies in Brussels. And we sent 4 of our howitzers out of the Army stock of 37. So we don't exactly have a lot of these. I don't know why we're not making more. It's time to rebuild our defense industry. In my area, there's 2. There's General Dynamics and there's Armatech, which makes stuff for the military. We should have more of this kind of things. So we sent 20,000 rounds of ammunition and was in talks to purchase an additional 100,000 shells for Ukraine, which means we've already depleted our own stockpiles. And it's these shortages of artillery and ammunition that have undermined Ukraine's efforts to fight off the Russian invasion. The United States, meanwhile, they supplied over 155 millimeter towed howitzers, including the M777s. So do I agree with this? Yes, I agree with sending replacement barrels to Ukraine as well as finding more ammunition for them. At the same time, we should also be expanding our own defense capabilities and working on building a bigger stockpile, because Canada could only fight a war for a day and a half before you run out of things. Meanwhile, Canada and Denmark signed a deal to divide an uninhabited Arctic island. Experts call the deal a symbolic move to show a united front against Russia's invasion of Ukraine. I don't think it's that. We've been fighting over this island for decades now. Every so often, Canadian soldiers will inhabit the island. They'll put their flag up and they'll leave a bottle of whiskey. The Danes come in, they put their own flag up and they leave a bottle of schnapps. It's pretty harmless. There's been no fighting, no rock swinging or shovel swinging like happened in the Himalayas with China and India. None of that. There's been no war like over the Falklands between Argentina and Britain. And definitely none of this Russia-Ukraine thing. Hans Island is 1.3 square kilometer rock in the middle of the Nares Strait, separating Ellesmere Island from northern Greenland. So it's right in the middle of the straits. Now the island it's been like a 50-year-long dispute. Now the island is not divided evenly. It's more on a fault line, which means Denmark, Greenland gets a little more than Canada, but it's not a big deal. There's nobody on there. It's in the middle of nowhere. The resources underneath, it takes a lot to get them. So it's just one of those things. This isn't like Ukraine, where the Donbass region is along a major river network and population center with some natural resources that are easy to get to. So it's not going to change anything major. Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly signed the deal Tuesday in Ottawa with Danish Foreign Minister and Greenland's Prime Minister. And she said that shows how international disputes can be solved peacefully through diplomacy. Yeah, right. Tell that to the Communist Party of China, the Russians, and elsewhere. It's probably the friendliest of all wars. They call it the whiskey war because, like I said, the Canadians would put whiskey while the Danes would put schnapps. Things like that. Plus, we're allies in NATO. The Danes have been more or less peaceful for eons. They've lost their last few wars they fought in, namely the Nazi occupation of their country in the World War II and also in the Holstein-Schleswig wars with Prussia. So you can see where it is on the map. It's not exactly in the most accessible area in the world. And is it a big deal? Not really, because if it actually came to a fight, Canada could resupply it faster than the Danes, I think. But it's in the middle of nowhere, and it's not one of those things that you'd fight over. It's not worth dying over a rock in the middle of the Arctic. Maybe this will bring Canada into talks with Saint-Pierre-Miquelon. These are 2 islands off the coast of Newfoundland that are part of the French colonial empire, the collective territory de Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon. This one's got more people. It's bigger. It's all that's left of the French North American Empire after we kicked them out after the Battle of Quebec and more or less ended the colonial wars with France in North America. Though one could say the American Revolution was a spin-off of that. But anyway, it might be time to think about that, because basically the people on Miquelon, Saint Pierre and Miquelon, they're closer to Canada than they are France. Most of the stuff they import, it comes from Canada, or comes from France through Nova Scotia. It doesn't come directly. And most of the kids either go to school in Canada or they go over to France. They're probably more in tune with Canada than they are with France right now. But my aunt went there. She said it's like, you have to use francs. You have to get a passport to go there. It's an interesting place, but it's one of those things that maybe we should look into negotiating for. But at the same time, the people there might not want it. But we're not going to forcibly make them part of Canada if they don't want to. But it's just food for thought later on. An interesting situation. But it'd be cool to see Saint Pierre and Miquelon part of Canada, maybe. Though it is unique being a piece of Europe in Canada. But anyway, any Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think of sending more of our military equipment to Ukraine. And also this deal with Denmark. Any thoughts? Leave comments in the comment section. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.
I'm in love.